part 2. Behavior modification. Behavior modification is a systematic program of reinforcement to encourage desirable behavior. All right, so how do we affect each individual employee? What's their love language, if you will? So behavior modification involves both rewards to encourage desirable actions, that's the carrot, and punishments to encourage undesirable actions, that's the stick. Punish the bad, reward the good. So what are the steps of behavioral modification? Number 1 is the target behavior, the behaviors that should be changed. Is it identified or measured? All right. Is this something where you're interrupting people in meetings? Hey guys, I've done that. That's me, my personality. I always just want to throw out something that need to be said. And I'm telling you right now, I've met with my superiors and they're like, listen, you got to quit cutting people off in meetings. So that was my target behavior. Then managers provide a positive reinforcement in the form of a reward, which the employees exhibit desired behavior. Hey, start cutting people off in meetings. Maybe we can start talking about promotion. So, example given in the book is Apple offers corporate gifts and reward programs to give companies the ability to reward their staff or very loyal customers with iPods, blah, 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 Mac computers, iTunes, gift cards. So that's kind of the carrot. Why would you do what you're going to do? And then third, the levels of target behavior are measured, again, to determine whether desired changes have been achieved. So when you sit back down with your manager, be it annual review or looking back at that quarterly sales plan, you need to say, hey, how's my behavior? And say, meetings, am I doing better? And they say, yeah, you are. You're doing this, so now work on this. So if the target behavior is not changed significantly, be careful there. Now, in terms of job, in terms of functionality, there's something called flexible schedule options. Flex time, a system in which employees set their own hours within an employer-determined limits. All right, so as long as you're getting work done, you can get done whenever. This is actually the Google model. Google's open all the time. Their employees can come in and work however it works for them. They have people come in at 3 a.m., 3 p.m. They got people who do the 9 to 5. They got all kinds of stuff. There's also something allows employees to work a 40 hours out there. You guys be an entrepreneur, you can work all the hours in the day. What's part-time work? People share one full-time position. Basically, you have 2 part-timers, let's say, working 40 hours a week collectively, but 20 apiece. Some advantages to job sharing is it may contribute to greater job satisfaction, ease in creating work-life balance. If you're a single father, single mother, something like that, trying to take care of your kids, this might be an option. It can actually lead people to be more productive. If their life is not like this harrowing stress ball of trying to get your kid to piano lessons and school and do homework and do all these things and work like 40, 50 hours a week, you definitely can have more balance. So it can combine a disadvantage in that it's a distraction at home over here. Higher levels of happiness and personal satisfaction. Lower real estate and travel expenses, not as much overhead. Improved morale and flexibility to access larger labor pools. People can live all over the place and you can employ them. So you could have somebody in China, all right? You could have people all over the world. So what are some disadvantages? For employees, feelings of isolation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is cool for now, but as I keep teaching more and more from home, I wish I mean, the technology alone, recording this video, that type of thing. Distractions at home. Yeah, my kids want in this room so that they can play Minecraft at the moment, okay? So for companies, they have a difficulty monitoring productivity. They're not looking over your shoulder, which actually is an advantage for the employee. They don't feel like anybody's looking over your shoulder, but at the same time, it's hard for companies to make sure you're actually giving an honest effort. Now, what should you do with your employees? You should empower them. What is empowerment? Making employees feel more involved in their jobs by increasing their participation in decision making. All right. For empowerment to work effectively, managers should set expectations. All right. What do you want from me? If you're my manager, we have to communicate our standards. Like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're not going to do. We need to look at things periodically in terms of evaluations, and we need to have follow-up. So what's the benefit of employee empowerment? I'm kind of surprised, actually, the benefits are shorter than the obstacles here. But if employees feel empowered, they have increased job satisfaction. Many times they're higher performers, and they feel good about what they're doing. They have increased organizational commitment because everybody wants to work for an organization that makes you feel empowered. Now, obstacles. Obstacles, potentially, you could have like more of a Theory X type manager where they're trying to micromanage, and that's really hard to do when you're doing like telecommuting, or you're trying to, even if it's in person, have employees that feel like they're independent, that they're empowered. If you have a manager constantly looking over the shoulder, that can be a problem. So that stems from a distrust of management, of the workers. There's the potential for inconsistency and inadequate training of employees, as kind of everybody does their own thing. And communication is only as good as the least common denominator will allow it to be. So if you have someone who doesn't communicate well, it doesn't matter how you empower them, letting them do things, say, from a distance can be a problem. Almost there, folks. Almost there. So what's something else you could look at? Employee ownership. People care more if they own it. They got skin in the game, they care more. So employee ownership is a situation employees own the company they work for by virtue of being stockholders. Now, we've had this talk when we talked about stocks before. You don't want to buy too much of one stock, and that includes the company you're working for. So an example of employee-owned companies would be Publix Supermarkets, Harpoon Brewing, and Davy Tree. All right, there's last team I know as well, but Publix Supermarkets. Actually, the Green Bay Packers is owned by fans, basically, people in Green Bay. So as a means to motivate executives and managers to feel invested in a company, some firms provide stock options as a part of employee compensation package. So if you own like several stocks in my firm, I can't really treat you like trash all the time because, well, you're my owner. So this option is simply the right to buy shares of the firm within a prescribed time and set price. Basically, it's tied to your 401k, your retirement plan. Usually you have to be there like a year or more so you can get vested. But then they'll actually start matching your contributions in company stock. Be careful there, be careful there, be careful there, because you don't want to own too much of one stock. If a firm does well and its stock prices rises past the set price, you're making money, baby. The employee can exercise the option to sell the stock for cash and based on the company's success. Let me tell you what, though, if you give people company stock, they're now invested in the company literally and figuratively. They want to see the company do well. Why? Because their stock goes up in price. So what's a team? It's two or more workers operating as a coordinated unit to accomplish a specific task or goal. A lot of you all have been on teams, both in terms of the sports world and in terms of group projects, that type of thing. So there's types of teams, problem-solving teams, a team of knowledgeable employees. They have their own authority and they manage themselves. Cross-functional teams, a team of individuals where they have really different skill sets, varying specialties, expertise, and skills that are brought together to achieve a common task. If you're watching press conferences right now, you'll see like a team of epidemiologists that the president's running out there to look at the COVID-19. You've got economists on that team. You've got business people. You've got educators. You've got doctors, of course, and you've got political leaders, and they're all trying to figure out how to deal with a problem. You have a virtual team consisting of members who are geographically dispersed to communicate electronically, and that's us right now. So, benefits and limitations of teams. Let's go with the benefits first. The reduced turnover and costs. If you're part of a team, you feel a little bit of, even if it's not voluntary loyalty, it's a little bit of forced loyalty. You're on that team. All right. People don't like quitting teams. So you can see increased productivity across the team. You can see improved customer service and product quality. Leads to higher levels of job satisfaction among employees, especially if they get along. We'll talk about that here in terms of limitations. It leads to a harmonious work environment. Okay. We hope. A lot of times teams can be used to push the positive. Some of the limitations, though, is that it can be stressful and time-consuming organization process because now you don't just have to answer to yourself or your boss, you get to answer to your teammates. And you've got to coordinate them all, make sure they all communicate. So there's no guarantee that team will develop effectively. You can all have a problem. You've been in a group project, you can see people who aren't quite frankly that productive or all that invested. So you may experience lower productivity if there's a lack of cohesiveness or too much conflict. Sometimes people just can't get along, and that can be a detriment in terms of teams. So I've pared down these slides. I probably took out about a dozen or more slides, but that is Chapter 10, Motivating and Satisfying Employee Teams. All right, watch this video, obviously. If you're hearing this, you have. Do the reading, and then on Sunday by 11 p.m., and you have a place to turn it in bright space, I need to see those reflection papers. So in lieu of quizzes moving forward, we'll be doing reflection papers. So I look forward to reading those and giving you a grade back on that. Be sure to read all the detail of what I'm looking for. These don't need to be summaries. They need to be something that offers some insight, and you can take any one of these things and run with it, whether it's motivation, scientific management, the hierarchy of needs, theory X and Y, or several combinations of the two, of the several. Run with it, man, and show me what you've learned. Thank you.